Welcome back to another episode of the Otter Players Podcast, where this week we'll talk about EA going private and the controversy with GTA 6 and the 6 hour premiere Netflix special, difficulty in gaming and how does it affect you when you play games, and also the state of Square Enix and others as it pertains to installments and the disconnect that some developers have with gamers. But before we get into all that, we'll see what everybody's been playing, and we'll jump right into it. Weeb, how are you, sir, and what have you been playing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Yes, I've been playing. I finished Mouse PI. Let's start with that on PlayStation. Got the plat. Overall, liked the game. The last bit was a bit frustrating. With if you know what I'm talking about, the playing section that doesn't allow you to save in between. So if you get hit by any number of crazy shenanigans that they're putting in between the stages that instantly kill you, you have to start all over again. And the last boss was a bit annoying, but overall was a it was over a fun game. Great setting, great acting. Yeah, highly recommend it overall. Uh, After that, I've mostly played on my brand new PC. I've started Cyberpunk. I did already play the decent chunk on PlayStation, but I figured let's start over again since it's been a while. Plus, I can now enjoy it in its all its glory. I've been experimenting with with a few mods, some sort of ease of life changes. Like a mod that basically just lets you uh, max out all your raises the level cap basically, so you don't have to choose between all your abilities because you can never max out your abilities, all your ability trees in the normal playthrough. I think there's like one that allows you to use fast travel anywhere instead of just walking to a fast travel point. And there's also a graphics mod that basically makes everything even look better even more. So yeah, again, the benefits of playing on PC. You can just do everything you can do in a console, and then make your life even better with mods. And also I've been dipping in now at Wolfenstein, I want to say Doom, Dark Ages Revelations DLC. Um, it is kind of I had to say that when I initially started, I was like, okay, I'm not really sure or feeling it, but once you sort of get into it, it's kind of yeah, the dust can pull you in. It is the you're kind of sort of in a sort of hub area this time around where you can just have to complete some challenges. Generally, they're pretty similar to what you're used to, beating a lot of enemies and then proceeding to the next room. But there are some variations there, like the first sort of side section you had to go into was more action focused. Second one was more puzzle focused. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And yeah, you have the new spear, which kind of adds sort of mobility back to a Doom that you had at least a bit in Eternal. So you can kind of feel more like like a god instead of a tank. Though I do have to say, I'm glad that I got my shield back in the second stage because the shield kind of you're kind of a lot more fleshy when you don't have your shield because when you just have to dodge attacks. It's not really a game made for dodging because your enemies can attack from every direction. The enemies don't really have clean sort of attacks that you can easily dodge. It works most of the time, but it's ultis you just get hit anyway. So the shield kind of itself feels like this game is designed around a shield, blocking, parrying at the exact moment. Um, yeah, using that sweet buzzsaw on the shield. So yeah, but overall, I'm quite enjoying it. I do get why they're praising it as the best DLC so far for Doom game, which is not necessarily saying much because the last DLC for Eternal wasn't kind of suffered because of the fact that they ruined their relationship with Mick Gordon, and they had to release a DLC with a crappy soundtrack compared to the godlike soundtrack of Mick Gordon, and I'm still missing it. You can hear that they're trying to kind of with the Dark Ages kind of evoke him in some ways. I mean, I'm not sure how that legally works, but well, it is what it is. Um, yeah, so I'll probably be sort of juggling both of them. I mean, the DLC is not that long, I guess, so we'll probably finish that maybe next week, and then I'll fully immerse in Cyberpunk. I do hope I can kind of fit it in because yeah, I mean it's still sort of the calm before the storm, but yeah, end of August is coming rapidly, and that's where all the crazy releases start hitting, and I'm still like I have some holidays coming up, but still like I still have no idea how I'm gonna fit everything. In, and especially with GTA and Horizon, it's gonna be a crazy rest of the year in terms of gaming. But yeah, first world problems, I guess. Yeah, in the meantime, also obviously save physical games. So I've been buying physical games as crazy. Like I really sort of need to keep myself in check because I'm like, yeah, I also have bills to pay. But it's like I want to get those games while I still can because you can see they're getting sold out more quickly than ever. So yeah, I've been building up my physical collection quite steadily the last couple of weeks. So yeah, that's still going strong, despite the fact that I have now a PC and yes, I realize it's all digital. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool. There we go. Cool. Congrats on the platinum as well for Mouse PI. Um,
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
yeah, I know that's a big one. Even with all the updates they made recently, it's still quite a bit to get that. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm
yeah.
kind of glad they did because it was really annoying that you couldn't replay the levels in the pre-update version because there were some side quests that I didn't even trigger after I
Hmm.
finished the level. So like, okay, how the hell was I supposed to get those if I couldn't revisit those levels? So yeah, in this case, I'm quite grateful for that option. Unfortunate thing is that it wasn't available on disc, so that's kind of a miss, I guess, on them because they had the chance to put it on the disc because they released the physical version later. But it is what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up. Uh, Omar, how are you, sir? And what have you been playing?
So I'm fine. I stopped with Outlaw after finishing two planets, I think, or maybe three planets. Yeah, three planets. Um, I started Beast of Reincarnation after it took them 2 days to come through. Um, I finished the first area of the game. I think chapter one is done. The good about it, the combat. The combat is literally the bread and butter of this game. I love the combat so much. How you can be stealthy, you can attack from air, you can attack from range. Um, the combination that you can do with your wolf, also the parry, how parry feels legit like parrying. The difficulty can be hit and miss. Um, Random enemies can literally close to two-shot you if you're not careful, and I'm playing on normal. But most of the time, I'm literally destroying mobs before I can even do a special move on them. So it's interesting to see. The biggest negative for this game so far are one, the cutscenes. I saw it on Twitter and I couldn't believe how bad it is until I played it myself. there is this um l- empty space between when a person speaks and then someone else speaks. Like the cutscenes is legit need a revamp. Other than that, it they need to explain more about how skills work or when they proc, especially if your skills is passive. So, but I did read that this a project that they're gonna continue upgrade with. I mean, keep updating. So I have faith in them. The core gameplay absolutely phenomenal. If you love, if you love, not per se open world, but more like sandbox, and you love great gameplay, look it up. I highly recommend it. With that being said, yeah, that's about it for me.
Cool. Looks like Henry's playing it as well. He's
Yeah,
talking
I'm
about it.
reading it. I would ask him about just the gameplay that I want to talk and see what his thought is.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. As for myself, um, I have been, I don't know, a little all over the place, but I did complete um, Avatar Pandora's Frontier. That game is massive, but I was pushing on it all last week, and just once me and Morgan had kind of got into it, I just kept pushing, and I managed to get through the campaign, which was a lot of fun. Funny enough, the third person thing is one of the big updates that I waited on, and honestly, I ended up playing the majority of the game in first person. I switched it back, um, just because I personally didn't like. I know it took them like a year to do it, um, and they really tried to nail it down. But you can tell a lot of the things that you do are still meant to be in first person, regardless. So I ended up switching back and just playing most of it first person. It was just when the animation quality and stuff for third person is just not really there. Um, I can't really do third person. I can't do like janky third person. It doesn't work for me. Um, but yeah, the game overall was just really phenomenal. Incredible looking game. Highly benefited from the PSSR update. Um, in that nature, the game maintained beautiful performance throughout the whole thing on the PS5 Pro. I had no issues performance wise. Like I said, the story was serviceable. It made sense within, like, I enjoyed it like the movies. I felt like it fit the realm of that world and what was going on, and they incorporated a bunch of the different tribes, um, and things of that nature. And yeah, just in general, like I said, it was just a lot of fun overall. A lot of weapon variety, surprisingly. Given that they always use bows and stuff, but a decent amount of weapon variety, and then variety within the weapons themselves, with some having specialized ammo for fire, lightning, and other things of that nature. Um, yeah, like I said, overall the game's really good. I did get like the the definitive edition like add-on, so I got all the DLC and things of that nature. So I did start one of the first DLCs. You can start either DLC after you finish the story, but from what I remember, this one was first. So I started Skybreaker DLC, which again has been really good. And then last night I started the Reanimal, the Prisoner DLC with Morgan. Um, we started pretty late though, so I was tired, so we didn't finish it. From what I remember, it's supposed to be, what I looked up was 55 to 90 minutes long. So I guess that depends on how good you are at the game. Um, but yeah, we were rolling through it pretty good. We beat like our first boss. I don't know if that's the only boss in it, because like I said, being 55 to 90 minutes, I feel like it probably would. But I forgot that this game is also getting two other DLCs. So I'm guessing it'll get pretty extensive over time once all three are out. But yeah, so far I really like it. Like I like the mode they went in and the way they went about it. I guess like the DLC takes place during a time of the campaign, so you kind of see the other characters as you're playing as these other characters. So you're like seeing yourself run away in another scene, in the scene that you're at, where you go back basically through the war area, and it's pretty cool. Um, so that's been really enjoyable. I've also been going back and playing through the Fire Emblems. Like I said, some of the guys have probably seen, my AYN Thor, some of the pictures I posted. I pretty much got it fully configured for what I want. There's still a number of other things that could play Wii U and things of that nature, but I didn't really see a reason to put some of those things on there. Um, Although I probably will add the Wii emulator for some RPG, or like really obscure RPG that I seen that somebody mentioned that they really enjoyed. So I could check that out. That's been like the main thing um, that's been really like good about setting up the device and stuff. And then of course, me being a really big Fire Emblem fan, I'm able to go through and really play a lot of those titles that are no longer available in a readily available capacity on modern day consoles. You do have some of the titles available on NSO, um, where if you have the expansion pack on Switch 2 or whatever, you can go in and play two of the Game Boy Advance iterations, and then of course uh, the Radiant variant for GameCube, which is where I'll probably end up finishing it because I was already pretty far in the campaign. I think I'm like three or four away from beating it, 3 or 4 levels away from beating it on NSO. That was before I got my AYN Thor. But I have been going through and playing some of the original Game Boy Advance ones, which is really nice because with the Thor emulation, you can always, if you have a powerful enough emulation device, you can increase the resolution. Um, so their internal rendered resolution, so it's a lot more clear. It runs at a higher frames per second, things of that nature. So it's been really enjoyable playing that, and of course the AYN Thor has that OLED screen on top and bottom, so it's been really great to do that. Then there's a few other things I got to set up. I was mentioning this the other day when somebody was saying, they, as much as they like emulating with older devices, um, they like to use the devices as they were originally intended. And again, while I agree with that, the problem, at least in Nintendo's case, for anyone who has played any game that involves this, the 3DS in particular, um, a lot of games incorporated the pass system, which again worked fine when you had your 3DS in your pocket and everybody else did, and everybody had it riding around in their cars, and you get enough passes, or you could get passes online. But when the online is shut down and nobody really has their 3DS anymore, the pass system doesn't really work very well, or if at all, right? Um, so that's kind of a problem. So when you emulate on the AYN Thor or hack your one of your 3DSs, you can have a program that basically runs and has like a fully integrated online that the hacking, the emulation community has created, that will let you either emulate, so you can emulate like passes, random passes, so that you can basically get the functionality to work in these games, or you can go into like a full-on community that these people have created, and there's thousands of people online at any given time frame, and you can get passes from around the world. So it basically fixes the whole offline issue with 3DS, which essentially forces people, to be honest, um, to, if you really want the full functionality of this device anymore nowadays, you're going to have to hack your 3DS 100%. Which is why I'm ultimately, even though I have the AYN Thor, I'm probably going to do that to at least one of our 3DSs, just so I can make sure we continue to have that functionality, especially in Fire Emblem Fates. They heavily integrated the pass system and like an online system, so like basically the game, you're missing a massive functionality when you're playing through this game without it. So that's really annoying when games do that. They have like this real big, it's like, oh, that online integration worked really well, but And again, that's the whole thing we talk about now. Online, the whole Game Preservation Act and stuff like that is really dealing with that. Um, where we have these titles that, like, while they function great while the servers are online and stuff, there's no offline variant that fixes those things, so that you don't have to worry about it. A great example of one company that did that was the Lord of the Rings games, um, specifically. What's what's the name of it? Um, the one where you play as like the ghost or whatever. I can't remember his name, but
Uh, the ghosts.
yeah, he's kind of like a ghost or whatever. You have the ghost, the elf ghost inside you, and he lets you do all the special skills, and it has the nemesis system in it. I can't.
Shadow of
Yeah,
Mordor.
Shadow of War. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, Shadow of
War.
Mordor
Yeah.
and War. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so in Shadow of War, they had a whole online system, and you could go on and like battle your orcs and do all this stuff. And basically, before they shut all that online portion down, they created an offline system that emulates that same functionality. So you can play Shadow of War to this day, just as if it was online. So you can still verse your orcs, you can still do all this other stuff without the issue or needing the online portion to be there. Um, and that's a real big factor nowadays with the Online Preservation Act. As companies do this, and again, like I said, I think it's a good idea. Like, cool, until it no longer functions. Um, so yeah, that was a bit of a sidetrack and a tangent, but obviously, game preservation is a big thing right now, and digital ownership, or ownership period, right? In a lot of things is being questioned. Because when you really get down to it, there's a lot of things that people don't really own, right? You pay off your house. Technically, you're supposed to own it, but if nobody paid the taxes on the house, then the house could just be taken back, which is crazy to think about. So it's like, I don't know, there's too many instances where we just really don't actually own what you're supposed to own. So even like physical ownership, funny enough, is like was probably physical game ownership was probably the biggest form of ownership, even over like owning a house and things like that. Because like I said, eventually like it could just be taken, because there's still other things you have to pay on it over time. But owning a physical type, a game or whatever, you buy it one time, you had it, unless like your house burns down or it's stolen. It's basically yours until you die, and then honestly, if you died, you could be buried with it, and you still
Yep.
own it.
Preaching to
So
the choir.
yeah. So yeah, lots of great things about that. So that's a whole interesting perspective in actual ownership and the things in life that we thought we owned that we really don't.
But plus, in all likelihood, there's the higher chance your account gets hacked or banned or whatever, and you lose access to all your games. So then your house burning down. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a lot easier to have that stuff happen these days. Social engineering, um, as we've talked about, because that was like the main thing
Yep.
happening for PlayStation. Um, Security, for anybody that doesn't know, the rule about security is only good as your weakest link. So if Bob
Exactly.
from accounting keeps clicking on external emails from uh, from places with malicious content in them, and it keeps getting past your server, it's because Bob from accounting keeps clicking on these links. Um, which anybody who works in a spot where you get emails and stuff, you've probably had phishing exercises where your
Yep.
security team will conduct and see if you'll click on these links. And I mean, they get real official sounding sometimes. Like, I get to the point where like I just don't even click on anything, like unless I like confirm beforehand. They've gotten really clever, and I work in IT, so like I recently had something I had to do like an extended background check, and I confirmed with my manager first. I was like, "Hey, look, did you need this? Is this real? Is this a thing?" He was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you gotta do that." I was like, "Hey, look, man, I'm just making sure." Um,
As you
but
should.
Yep, exactly. It just takes one phishing email. Exactly, RPG. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, bro, that's all it takes. So yeah, you gotta definitely get that weakest link up out of there. Um,
I mean, I don't know how many data leaks we've had this year alone. Like I've been involved in I think three now, so it's so easy, so imagine what they can do, calling PlayStation support as they have done, and get access to
mm-hmm.
your account. I mean, it doesn't matter how famous you are. The only advantage you have if you're famous, it's very easy to get your account back because you have connections, which, yeah, don't count on that applies to you as Mr. No Name or Mrs. No Name gamer, who, yeah, they just don't care about. So, I mean, yeah. If you really want to be sure about ownership, yeah, physical is the way to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. See, we got some more people strolling in the chat. Um, but yeah, that wasn't really one of the topics, but why not? While we're at it, because it's an important PSA for
No? Okay.
people to understand. Where the security issues come in, and like I said, most of the people who frequent our show or some of the other shows that we're a part of um, have started to understand that. Or learn, or some of our less technically inclined people are learning what to do and what not to do. Um,
True.
but yeah, it definitely depends. With that, we're going to jump into our first topic. So it looks like EA going private has officially been completed. This news came out the other day. Um, Jeff Keighley mentioned it, as well as a bunch of other outlets. They are being acquired by the Saudi group and going private, no longer a publicly traded company. There's a bunch of you know, business related acumen, going on there as far as like the loans and how all that stuff works and what have you. But the more interesting factor coming out of this is that the Bioware team may be up for sale, potentially with their IPs, or we're not really sure how they're going to do it or if they're going to sell the IPs separately. Um, Especially obviously pertaining to Mass Effect and Dragon Age, their main two large IPs. Um, and so we had some people questioning, what do you expect from EA going forward? What would you like to see? I guess is the real factor, right? Um, but also, if those two franchises are put out in the wild, who would you want to see acquire them? Um, Weeb. Uh, I don't. Lately, obviously, EA doesn't really make anything that I don't think either of us play, with the exception of the It Takes Two team.
Yeah.
Um, but is there anything you'd want to see from EA from this acquisition, or things you'd want to see them continue that maybe they haven't done in a while? And then, like I said, if Mass Effect and Dragon Age are put out there in the wild, what teams would you want to get those IPs?
Well, I mean, you already hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is you know by Bioware, basically Mass Effect and Dragon Age. That those are the IPs I care about. And yes, Joseph Ferris' team uh, keeps on delivering those beautiful co-op games. So
Mm-hmm.
of course I want to keep on seeing more of those. But yeah, if indeed they're on a shopping block, I mean, to be fair, like they should have sold them a long time ago to somebody who cares. I mean, if you ask me this, if you asked me this like half a year ago, whatever, or a couple of months ago, I would have said Sony. Um, but I mean, to be fair, the problem also with Sony is that they're really now all about maximizing their revenue and basically getting monetizing their existing customers as much as possible and cutting costs, etc. So I'm not really seeing them being eager to acquire them, even though they're in a sense a good fit because they're possibly filling a gap that they're not having. They're not really. Uh, I mean, they have plenty of third-person action games, but not necessarily
RPGs.
real RPGs in a sense. RPG elements, sure, but really RPGs are definitely something they could do with. But I think the most interesting suggestion I've seen, which I do agree with, is CDPR. Uh, they acquire Bioware, you know that they're in good hands because they give they give you the time you need to properly develop
Mm-hmm.
your next game. And the question, of course, is are they going to sell Bioware with all the IP, or just going to, hey, you can have the studio, we're just going to keep the IP,
Yeah.
which will make it a far less interesting. Of course, I mean you could just as well let the studio be closed and then hire the people if that's the way they're going to go. So
True.
I'd say they're likely gonna just want to have those IPs. And I think, yeah, I mean, looking at what they've done with with The Witcher, with Cyberpunk, yeah, I mean, you can trust CDPR, at least CDPR itself, with producing high quality, action RPGs, whatever form it will take, whether it's first person or not. So I'd say, yeah, I can't really think of anyone else right at the moment who would be a legitimate party to be able to actually go through with it. And yeah, somebody I would trust with that a studio of that pedigree, because I'd say you can say, yeah, I mean, what else? Ubisoft, they're as much trouble as they're struggling as well to not get acquired by a hostile takeover. I mean, Take Two, and a Japanese publisher, that's not going to work. We've seen how that ended up with Square, and then they had to divest all the studios. THQ Nordic, I'm also not entirely convinced. I mean, they had just recently their showcase, but the one that I know Omar and me are really looking forward to is that Darksiders 4 was nowhere to be seen, which is kind of worrying me to the point where I'm wondering, will we ever see it coming to fruition,
Mm-hmm.
or is it just vaporware? Um, so yeah, I mean, no, that's and I mean, don't underestimate CDPR is massive. I mean, they have their own storefront. They have GOG.
They do.
They're a publisher. They're massively successful. So I'd say that they would be able to, depending on how greedy EA is going to get. But I think in that sense, uh, it's very clear they want to get rid of it, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
their somebody made is going to make an offer to them. Hey, it's a nice studio you've got there. Would you be willing to sell it? No, it's like, yeah, we need cash quickly because we have a lot of debt to pay, um, which is I think also something I think somebody from I think one of the founders of BioWare predicted right when they were talking about these. I'm not sure if there were rumors or when they were already confirmed they were going to be bought by this investment firm, this Saudi investment firm, where they said like, yeah, now you're going to see so many things that are not were unthinkable, because when EA, was still publicly traded, like nobody was gonna suggest something stupid like let's sell Bioware, or let's sell this IP, because you don't want to be the one who's gonna sell off an IP that turns out to be massively successful to a new buyer, and you have to explain to your manager what were you thinking, when you made that decision. And now it's like everybody's gonna oh, you have a great way to save us money. Yes, let's sell Bioware. Now they're suddenly interested in doing that. So that's a golden opportunity for anybody who's willing to acquire Bioware. And I do hope, yeah, I mean, you can also hope maybe they spin off into an independent studio, but I'd say I don't think any of these studios sort of has sort of the contracts that we've seen uh, with Xbox, Microsoft, plus the fact that they're probably a bit bigger than something like Ninja Theory and Double Fine, and they're way more, I would say, yeah, grown into the fabric of EA. Like it's not the original Bioware as we knew it, right? They've expanded, they've moved. A lot of people who originally were there, I imagine, have moved on or have been replaced. So it's going to be much harder to just go independent in a way where these other studios of of Microsoft are able to do that, because that acquisition was far more recent. That's not to say that that's not possible, but the other hand is, well, it's EA, so they'd rather close you down and just let you go if they can get money for you, right? So I say it's, yeah, more likely they will be sold. And yeah, I hope it's going to be, well, I mean, I hope it's going to be CDPR. I don't know if they're interested, because obviously it's going to be a massive acquisition at a time where we see just cost cutting left and right. But there's also, like, sometimes you do have to, the opportunity presents itself, and you have to make a choice. Like, I'll just let it go because it's not the right moment, or regret it later, or do I make a call, make a decision here? I know it's going to be risky, but we can bear that risk, and it's going to pay off dividends. I'd say it could be, despite the fact that the last Dragon Age didn't do very well. But yeah, whose fault is that, EA? I mean, you restart that game 3 times. You were first wanted to the first game, the first iteration was a very ambitious game. I mean, if you've read I bought the art book for Dragon Age, and it's very interesting because it actually shows you what we could have had. Like, it was already outlined. There was a lot of stuff already drawn up about where the next game was going, and would have been a full-fledged sequel to Inquisition, and in a real massive scope. And they're really just, I mean, I'm not begrudging the team. Like, I do like Failguard, but I also agree with a lot of the criticism that it doesn't feel like this is the payoff that we were supposed to get. It feels like a much smaller scope. It's very clear that they initially wanted to make this a service game, which was sort of the second pitch, and then they pivoted back again to, let's make it a single player game. But you can clearly, I mean, on the other hand, like, it does give you that the gameplay was great, which is clearly, but it was clearly that they wanted to make this a service game, like a multiplayer game. So that's why it feels like that, which is not. Again, the gameplay is great. But there's also one of the sort of saving graces of it, because otherwise the game would have. Well, I mean, it was well written. I mean, I do enjoy the characters, but they've had inconsistencies, and plot points didn't resolve within the story itself, and let alone the overall story. And they ignored all the importing of the the world stage you could have done with you could do with previous games. Like, they completely ignored that. So yeah, I do see why it didn't become the success that it was, and probably the marketing could have been better. So I think in the right hands, like, this is kind of thing where you could uh, make use of that, right? That people were disappointed with the previous iteration, and you can pinpoint where exactly it went wrong, and then you can just say, okay, like, yeah, we're gonna do it right by you. And I mean, I think people will be massively excited by the fact, okay, CDPR presents BioWare's Dragon Age, or the next Mass Effect. So yeah, I mean, I do see, again, it's you ask me what would you like to see, and certainly it's wishful thinking, wish fulfillment at the moment, but I don't see beyond the realms of possibilities. It's not like an unrealistic wish, and also something that I'd say would be a perfect match. And I do hope that if it's not CTPR, if that is somebody who cares for that legacy. For God's sake, don't go into business with NetEase, because we all know what they do with with respected people in the industry.
Right.
You can see what they did with Negoshi, which is, by the way, I mean, I know it's not the topic, but just go a bit of a tangent there. I did see shared also on Twitter like a recent video of forgot his name, but we did kind of an interesting investigation in there how it actually came to be, and that people have been like on the go. She's asked, how the hell do you still need like 40 million, at
Yeah.
this stage in development? Well, it's pretty normal, and it probably exactly the marketing budget, which is generally half of the game's development, that they were missing. That was basically just pulled from NetEase. They just told them like 2 years ago, like we're gonna stop funding your studio. You're not gonna get a penny. You're not gonna market the game. And
Oh
basically, we're
wow.
done after you release this game. Like what was crazy, and they dragged his name through the mud, and people, of course, fell for it.
Yeah.
So definitely do not go into business with NetEase, BioWare, if that's on the table. But yeah, I mean, I again, if it's not CDPR, I hope it's somebody else who cares. I do hope that they will find a way to continue, because it's such a incredible studio with such a massive legacy, and those IPs like a lot. Like I absolutely love both IPs, like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Same.
know, Nate, you love Mass Effect as well,
Hmm.
and yeah, it is. I really hope that yeah, we can find some sort of way to save those IPs, and especially the studio, of course, because again, like even if not all the same people are there, there's so much in that DNA of being like I said, like Veilguard was a disappointment, but even when BioWare disappoints, when BioWare is not on their A game, it's still a good game.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's the
I
thing.
agree.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So that shows you the quality. Like, and if they were given the right the right resources, the right freedom, like they don't need studio interference. They don't need an executive telling them oh yeah, now you need to make a service game. They need just they should be allowed to have that with their pedigree, have the freedom to go into the direction that they think is right, and they will deliver. And I think if they're given that chance, they will be able to produce a massively successful sequel to Mass Effect, to Dragon Age, maybe new IP. I don't know. Like they have so much potential still, and with that, yeah, with that legacy, with that pedigree, it would be such a shame to just let it disappear, and become a victim to EA's greed and short-sightedness and their financial woes, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah. No. I agree with you that CD Projekt is probably one of the uniquely positioned people that could really take that on. I believe, like you said, if they got the studio as a whole, I believe they could definitely have the capital and the know-how to support them as a third studio. Potentially move the studio near their other American studio, to have them work together.
Yeah,
Get people moved out of honestly California, because like again, I know people really don't quite understand the issue with that, because like obviously there's other sectors and other people who live in California that are okay, but yeah, California here is just, in New York in particular, are like two of the worst places you can live cost wise, and it's causing such a detriment to stuff like that, where people could live just as well in some other places. Even Insomniac, having their North Carolina studio is brilliant. The cost of living is super reasonable in places like North Carolina and stuff, and having a studio out there and being able to honestly relocate people for that would be significantly cheaper. Um, to relocate people and be able to still pay them, where they basically kind of have the same standard of living, but in another state, uh, where it could be way more manageable. You don't have, so much operational cost. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'd really like to see them potentially get moved. Like I said, if they do get moved with everything, I think CD Projekt Red, or like you said, PlayStation could. Obviously, PlayStation's been making a lot of weird decisions lately, so obviously that's we're thinking about the way PlayStation handled their acquisitions prior, with Naughty Dog, Insomniac, and so on. Uh, onboarding and, like you said, giving them a proper AAA major spot. Uh, working with the internal teams and basically giving them the support they could. Like they need a major player to hold them. There's quite a few who couldn't do that. I know Morgan was joking about Bethesda, but they obviously
No, no,
obviously
she's serious. She's serious. Absolutely serious.
yeah, she can. They definitely they can barely handle what they got. Um, so yeah, Bethesda's definitely
Ju-
got some
Yeah,
issues.
just one thing I comment on what I think as Henry said, like should buy the IP, not the studio. Yeah, I'm not in favor of that. I mean, yes, there some IPs have become more known by the studio that bought them or some way acquired IP rather than the studio that actually created. I mean, I think Fallout is not originally a Bethesda
Yeah, it's not.
IP, for example. Um, but there's also the problem is that once it gets detached from that DNA of the studio that created it, it becomes its own thing and not necessarily, has any sort of. It doesn't feel like it might if a CDPR just acquired BioWare or acquired Dragon Age, they might make a great game, but it would probably be sort of The Witcher in Dragon Age universe.
Yeah,
Which is awesome as it may sound, is also like okay, but yeah, it feels sort of wrong. It feels like something that shouldn't exist. I mean, a perfect example is Prey, which is
hmm
a Bethesda IP, which originally was made by Human Head Studios. I think they're not sure if they're still around. But the original Prey was absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite, FPS games ever made. Like it was crazy, and they pitched like this fantastic sequel that has that the trailer is still up, and it's still like with playing. Yeah, it was accompanied by Johnny Cash, Rusty Chain, like and the trail like that looks so cool, like a bounty hunter in space. Like that concept was so amazing. And then Bethesda pulled the Bethesda and just screwed over the studio, and they were the game I think was probably even pretty close to being finished or at least playable, and they just pulled the plug. And then they brought it back under Arcane and in completely different form. And yes, I know that Prey was generally well received, Arcane's Prey, but had nothing to do with the original Prey. Like it, it, yes, you can create like it felt like an Arcane
But
game.
it is an amazing play, not gonna lie.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing. It's like it's not Prey. Like they could have
No,
called
it's
it
not. It's not.
anything
The
else.
first the first premise for Prey was phenomenal. I actually watched it on YouTube because I didn't fuck with gameplay like that back then, but I was so enamored with the story, with the gameplay, like the first Prey, the way they you wake up in that alien ship, like phenomenal, and the fact
That
that
bar
they
scene when you could get a duck like that still is so fucking amazing. Like
the
yeah,
fact that they scrapped part two, I was so bummed the fuck out because it clearly people love it. So again, the game that they made that they call Prey could have easily been called Alien, not Alien, like a Blob or something, and it didn't need the name Prey. So yeah, I'm with you on that front.
which I don't know why they did it like it's maybe because it's a known property that they just thought or they had to use it, otherwise they would lose it. That's also a possibility.
yeah,
But it is like it. Yeah, I mean, again, like you can make a great game with somebody else's IP that you never worked on originally. But it's not it's like you just took the body and hollowed it out and stuffed it with something else and then pretend that it's the same thing, but it's completely different. Like it just feels unnatural, you know, and
Yeah.
it's and a shame because I'd rather. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want this prey to exist, but I'd rather it exists as something else. And it doesn't matter. Like it indeed, like I said, it could have any other title. It should have just had an original title because that's Arcane's original work. It shouldn't be bothered by the legacy and by by consequentially the rancor of original Prey fans who were disappointed that they weren't getting their Prey 2, which I agree with. Like that would have been way more. Like I would have much rather have that than Arcane's Prey in that sense. But so like I think both could have existed. But yeah, I mean if Prey has to continue as an IP, I want it to be Human Hands Vision. I want it to be their game, and if that's not possible, then yeah, don't use it. Then make your own thing. Like there's no need for you to uh, to burden yourself with that. So that's kind of where why I wanted to comment that because I don't think just buying the IP and and not the people and not the thing that actually made that thing work is a great idea because you're gonna have a Frankenstein like creation that again could be good but also will feel like this feel off like it's not really what it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
So
One of
I
these
mean
things
I'm
is not
sure
like the other.
exactly, yeah, like it's an imposter syndrome basically with games, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, I agree. I think they should sell it as a whole because, like you said, even though, like you said, a lot of the former people are not there. That DNA of the studio is still there, and a lot of those people did work with those people that are still left. Like I said, a lot of the weird decisions in the last Dragon Age were largely just from some new people, who were in positions uh, of power that kind of, took the reins and kind of did what they wanted to do. Um, who are no longer at the studio. Uh,
They were executive. To be clear, this was an executive interference to, uh, because they didn't have agency. They were they're the people in the powers that be were like, okay, yeah, we oh now we need to do they make a live service because yeah EA, and then oh no, live service is no longer popular, so that pivot back to single player game, but it has to be finished next year. Yeah.
yeah, they made a lot of weird decisions. Like you said, the whole live service switch to single player was a mess. When you got to hear about that, that whole thing, and then like I said, some of the personal missives of the director of the project, like, oh, I want it like this or I want it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of going on a personal power trip on top of the issues from the executives, like you said, definitely had an effect on it. So I think the people that are left definitely have something to offer. I would personally, like I said, get it like that. I think getting the studio as a whole with the IPs would be great. Like you said, CD Project, I think could handle it. Um, I think PlayStation could handle it if they took it seriously. I just don't. I don't.
This
I don't
current
trust
PlayStation, I
the
don't
nigga.
have any
I'm
faith
getting
in
to
them.
that. Let me finish the damn sentence. Yes, like that's what I'm literally saying that. As the problem though is currently who's in charge at PlayStation, and the issues they've had with their own properties and their inability to deliver from even their tentpole studios. Um, so that's like the main issue. They need what BioWare has to offer, but I just don't know if, like you said, the current regime can handle it. That's a really big issue. Like, I want them to have it because I think they have a severe gap in especially WRPGs, and those are two of the biggest. And I, like you said, I think there's enough people left at the studio that could create something amazing, and you can kind of fill in those gaps of the people that left. The director and so on and forth. Um, you know, uh, but I just don't know. Like you said, CD Projekt Red would be the other ideal. Uh, if 100% the IPs had to be sold separately, um, I would personally want CD Projekt Red to get Mass Effect, and for Larian, I think would do a good job with Dragon Age. Um, I think
Sure.
the split between those two, I don't think either one has the capacity to take both on. If they don't get the studio, like you were saying, like I believe the studio comes with enough people and enough of that know-how to really create those titles the way they are, especially because they're already working on the next Mass Effect, right? Um, and it's very apparent by fans of today. Like, we know what we love about those games, and the people left there are obviously fans of those games as well. And I think they know and have had enough time to work on those properties that they could really create something great if given the opportunity. So hopefully something good comes out of it with BioWare. Um, Stuff with EA. As far as what EA has left, if they're keeping everything else, I would personally really like to see, and I've always said this with EA, another Army of Two, or the Mercenary series. I'm a big fan of both of those. Mercenaries hasn't been a thing for a long time now, but yeah, both of those are real heavy co-op scenarios. And then obviously, I would like to see them continue to support. Um, like you were saying earlier, the It Takes Two team, um, Hazelight, they create some incredible stuff. They have incredible showings and sell through potential. Both of their games um, have gone on to sell crazy numbers. I know It Takes Two did over like 20 million or something crazy, and again, that's with the friend system where the friend could play the game without owning it. So I think those are some incredible numbers. Um, but yeah, obviously some sort of need for speed or things of that nature. But as the current regime stands, I think they would just kind of part that out and make it, more like a live service title. Like, I don't think they'll bring back any true form of Need for Speed. So I don't really have any confidence in that.
Yeah, but forgot to answer that part of the question. What IP I want him to bring back? I mean, you know the answer: Command and Conquer, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I'm still mad at EA for messing that up.
Yeah.
They had that in the bag,
Yeah,
and then they were like, live service. That's what we should do. Live service and make
yeah.
it a phone
Mobile
game.
games.
Yeah,
Live service, and mobile. I will never forget my rage when I saw Command and Conquered, only for it to be a mobile game. Yeah,
As
I,
as 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 somebody would say, is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
right. Yeah, I mean, I did think it was a joke. Like, I was like, they got to be playing. Like, this is like a spinoff or something, right?
Uh,
Like
this is EA.
yeah, I was like, y'all showed us Command and Conquer Generals 2. Everybody went crazy. Everybody was hype. And your first thought was, let's go back in the lab and ruin that and create a live service, mobile game that has nothing to do with anything we just showed. And then they scrapped it because basically in testing, it came back so bad that people absolutely hated it. I was like, man, you can't make up some of the crazy stories and things that come out of these development studios, man. It's wild. Um, but yeah, Omar, um, same thing for you, obviously. Uh, what would you want to see continue? I don't know that you even play anything that EA has made, like, during your entire time playing video games. So I don't know if there's anything you would actually want them
I
to
played
continue.
Mass Effect 1 and 2, the
Well, yeah, I'm saying
remastered
I'm saying
version.
besides BioWare.
Oh,
Yeah, like other stuff you'd want them to continue, and then Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Basically, who would you want to get those titles if they had to be spun out?
so I'm not sure if by them, but Star Wars, what do you call it?
KOTOR?
Sorry, no, not KOTOR, the other one.
Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, and Fallen Order. Is it by them?
Yeah, Jedi Survivor is from them under Respawn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, that one is a massive for me because I love uh, these type of games. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen with them. I hope they keep them, and I hope they're thriving. Because right now, like BioWare. I listen to you guys, and I don't trust anyone with them. The issue is like if you need to entrust them to other companies, I think we are now in a state that the industry that I don't think any other company is capable of taking a new studio in without hurting their bottom line. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they were told who's going to buy them, because I do think PlayStation need a Western RPG studio. Like I truly do.
Oh, they
The
desperately
only
need
one,
one.
the only one that they have is Horizon, which you can I know you can barely call it Western RPG, but still, it's bottom of the barrel when it comes to that genre only. Um, but the way PlayStation is moving right now, I don't think they're capable of handling it well. So they're out. Xbox is
Yeah,
literally why
Xbox is
they're out.
clearly out.
Yeah. Um, but Capcom is still thriving with their own IPs. I don't think they need it. Personally, they are so busy creating new IPs between Third of Heaven and Pragmata and the revival of their other IP. I don't think they have time or a place for it.
I mean, also, I mean, them being, I don't think anybody Japanese based is in a position to take on an American studio. Like the only time that would have probably worked is when Square had an American division, and they really don't anymore. So I don't think it would work. The business practices and stuff are just too different.
Yeah, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna pick them up if they are gonna be sold. Otherwise, I would legit not be surprised if they just flat out disassemble the studio, absorb who they want to absorb, and cut the rest out. Because BioWare is not beloved right now by EA.
Yeah, I mean, there's no
I read,
telling what's gonna happen.
yeah, I read about Dragon Age, how they said that for the foreseeable future, it's in the shelves and they're not touching it. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting. Also, was they not working on a new Mass Effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that earlier. They're still
So
currently working on Mass Effect.
I'm curious if that's gonna ever come out. Um, but yeah, the one that worried me, and when I say worried me, is because monkey see, monkey do, as always. Colin from what's his name? That dude
What
that
about
from
Colin
PlayStation.
Moriarty?
Yeah, thank you, Colin Moriarty. He mentioned how with EA now being privated, prepare for some of the scummiest monetization.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have to worry about that because I don't really play any of their titles that have monetization like that. But yeah, I mean, for the
But the
people who play
issue,
Madden and FIFA and stuff like that, sure.
is if they create something so egregious, I fear other companies are gonna implement it as well.
I think again that your fear with that, the thing you always forget, is that the market dictates that. So if you implement something so egregious that people basically no longer see a purpose, then it doesn't matter what you do, because then the item is no longer going to sell, and it's going to miss the purpose in the first place. So you have to be careful meeting and trying to, basically take advantage of your user base because they'll go elsewhere. And there's definitely elsewhere when it comes to soccer or football games. Pez is making a comeback bigger than ever, which is your main competitor. And the only person they don't have any competition with is Madden. And even that has seen some downturn and some other things. So, yeah, again, while yes, yeah, they'd love to go crazy and charge you $1 billion, for Madden Ultimate Team. The market is only going to support so much until it breaks. So you also have to be careful of that. So there is no, you can't see and do something that is ultimately going to kill your franchise, because now you're no longer, you went from making money to having to shut down a franchise that used to make you a ton of money. So again, there's a balance to that. Whether companies want, they want all the money or not, it is irrelevant, because if you drive the user base away, they're not coming back. So yeah, I get the fear, and I get what Colin said, and that, yeah, that's the dream of corporate, you know. But again, you can't do but so much before you lose that user base. It's like the same thing, like you mentioned, Jedi Survivor. You like that series, but if it came out and there was a bunch of monetization in there that was clearly unnecessary, that basically put a bunch of stuff behind a paywall, well, you just wouldn't apply that way. You would either find a way around it, or you just wouldn't play it, and consider the franchise ruined. So companies 100% have to be careful of that.
Kind of what happened to Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. We still today have yet to play it because of this egregious monetization that they were doing.
I mean, none of that stuff is in the game anymore, so I mean,
No, but the grinding still is, from what I've heard.
no, it's not. All that stuff has been
Okay.
adjusted and removed.
Okay, that's good.
To be fair, like Shadow of War didn't feel as interesting as Mordor. It like felt like too much fan fiction. But yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. By the way, deep cut of a game EA should bring back. It's I think Westwood's only RPG, Nox. They should bring that back.
Bully?
Nox. What do you mean
No,
bully?
no, no.
I think
Yeah,
too.
I was like, that's a whole nother company.
Yeah, I know. That's why. But again, what I heard.
Yeah, so Morgan
Um,
even pointed out in the chat for you recently, this is a recent event that happened where they tried to put like an insane monetization scheme in place for college football, and the backlash was so severe that they removed all monetization. And that's what I was telling you about this whole, oh, they're gonna go crazy with monetization, and they're gonna, charge you $100 for a team, and whatever. Like, again, like I said, that's the corporate dream, but there is a pushback point where you'll basically sell nothing, and you'll basically kill the franchise if you're not careful. So that is very
supply
much a
and
thing.
demand. I got you.
Yeah, the market's
But
gonna
yeah,
gonna bear what the market will bear. If you sell, if all your cars are $100,000 brand new, you know, and they're nice, it doesn't matter if no one in that area can afford $100,000 car. Like, you're basically, you're not making a vehicle or a an item for the market you are in. Like that's what we're saying. So that, yeah, there's no real danger of that, mainly just because the pushback would be too much. So I mean, we'll see. I'm
gotcha.
not saying they won't try something. I'm just saying I don't
No,
think it'll
we
be as
are
bad
absolutely gonna
as
try
it'll be.
something. It's just gonna be a matter of what they try
Yeah,
and if they will succeed or not.
but yeah.
But
Morgan also said
I think,
the
yeah,
EA, the Jedi Survivor is one of the things she hopes they continue. So we'll see what happens. Especially because obviously Vince Zampella passing, and he was the
it is
head of
beloved.
Respawn. So yeah, we'll see if they still got the pull to make that happen. I think if Vince was still there, I think they would, but I don't. And obviously there's other founders of the company there, so we'll see what happens. I think they would be foolish not to continue with that series. Um, as I think it was obviously
Absolutely, it's
on its
beloved
own.
and it did great numbers, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's always sold pretty well, and a lot of people really like it. So I think they'd be a fool to give that up. But we don't know where they want to take it from here. So uh, we'll see. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
So
we run it course the topic.
yeah, we're moving to the next topic. So another thing that came out this week, GTA 6 was finally revealed to basically get the much anticipated reveal for its gameplay. Um, in a 6 hour special that is going to be on Netflix, which has got a bunch of people having a fit, a bunch of people literally going crazy. I've heard on several podcasts and solo casts, people just literally, and most of these people have Netflix for the record, which is ironic that people are complaining about it. Um, and again, obviously, you know, we're all aware of how media works. So after something is live, I mean, you can find it online, upload it in different places. There are plenty of places people can upload things where corporations can't get to it to take it down in a manner or in a timely manner. So clearly, it'll be elsewhere after a time. Strauss was speaking with Jason Schreier, stating like you'll understand why they went with Netflix. When they do this. Obviously, I think it's going to be a lot. I mean, we're talking about something for 6 hours. It's sounding like they're really doing a special talking about the development and all these other things, as well as showing the gameplay. Um,
You okay?
yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Morgan was saying that it's just 6 hours before it comes to YouTube or other titles. So again, she said it's not 6 hours long, but
So
if
the
it,
event is not six
Makes
hours long.
makes
Okay,
sense.
yeah.
yeah, she said it's 6 hours from, I guess that's a time gap. So again, 6 hours, like that makes it even
No,
more
but but
ridiculous
but
that
but
people are
but
having a fit.
but but you need to understand. But this is like I don't fuck with it like that. But you know that this is one of, if not the most anticipated title,
This is the most
and not
Twenty
only
anticipated
will it
minutes,
title.
have
by the way. That that's the runtime.
Okay, yeah. See, that's not even crazy. And it is 100% the most anticipated video game ever created. Like
so
whether people like
I
it or not.
understand the backlash. I understand the backlash,
But
especially if you don't have what you call it,
Netflix.
Netflix.
But if it's going to be available in 6 hours, who cares?
Okay? So here's the thing: you don't care because you have Netflix,
I wouldn't care
but
if I
if
didn't
you,
have Netflix. And I already purchased the game. That's what I'm telling
yeah,
you.
you
That
put
me having Netflix is irrelevant because I don't even care. I would just watch it later. I would probably sleep through it, eat, or play another video game. Like it's literally no time at all from when we're gonna get it. The only people who should honestly care about watching this in a timely manner is people who plan to break news on it. Like other than that, like there's no real reason for you to trip about a 6 hour gap from YouTube to Netflix. Like, and I'm
okay.
pretty sure
Everyone is
I'm
different.
pretty sure you ain't even playing it. So like,
No, no, I'm just gonna watch the gameplay, but and see if I'm curious about it or not. But that's about it. If I will pick it up it was gonna be a deep sale because of the amount of games that are coming out this year alone. But but I do understand the backlash that they're getting. Good. It's gonna be interesting to see. I would not be surprised if people gonna subscribe to Netflix for like I think you can subscribe for it like a day, a month, right?
it's a month. But
Yeah, just
there's also trials and a bunch of other stuff, and then on top of that, like I said, there's I hate this saying for the record because I don't know why it's an old saying, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like people are saying there's a billion ways you can watch this otherwise, including like Viper was saying, you could just stream it inside of your own Discord. Like all you have to do on a computer is disable acceleration, GPU acceleration, and it can no longer detect that you're basically streaming into Discord, the Netflix, and then you could just play Netflix in your Discord. So a ton of people could just hop into Discord and watch it, if we want to be honest. That's why I said I don't really. If that was 100% it, right? I mean, I still wouldn't trip. But let's say that was 100% it. Like, I still would not have an issue. Like, I would just wait. Like I said, like it's just not a thing for me. Like, 6 hours from now is not going to make a big difference out of a 20-minute, 20-minute reveal. Like, it's not that serious. And like I said, it'll be uploaded even probably before then. It's in a bunch of other places between Reddit and all these other places. Like, I'm not saying I don't understand people freaking out, because people freak out over everything, right? But like, even people who are freaking out that actually have Netflix is hilarious to me.
Yeah, now you're tripping. If you're freaking out while you have Netflix, now I'm questioning what's your agenda.
Yeah, exactly. And like C first said, you have people acting like it's not gonna leak. It's totally gonna leak. Like, beforehand. If you know where to look, you're looking in the right places, and you exist on the internet like most of us. You're gonna find a place. Um, but yeah, I
Not
don't
gonna
know.
lie,
You're already speaking of it. So
I would
how
be
does it
shocked.
how does it feel to you, Omar? Obviously, like we've said, it's 20 minutes, so we can just stream it in here. So you are going to be able to watch it whether you have Netflix or not. So, but besides that, is there something that bothers you about this being on Netflix besides that?
No, like if it's a thing that for me that I cared about, um, it would have bothered me. I would have either slept. It depends on the time, eh? I would have either slept or just wait for it, or just find a way around it, like via you, via Weeb,
Exactly.
or just. I think I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's gonna have copyright, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna stream it on YouTube alone.
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna post it. People are gonna put it in a bunch of different
Yeah.
places. I mean, it'll be everywhere
So
before you even know it.
yeah, precisely. But I do understand. I do. I'm a question if I'm wrong with this one. Is this the first time that a video game company ever do something like this?
Specifically with Netflix, yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious to what the agenda is from that, and is it to get more Netflix
I mean,
subscribers?
he stated it. So Strauss stated in it, he's like, we want to get more people who are potentially not in the know, who are not particularly gamers, that might be interested to have eyes on it, and Netflix is the place to do that, which I completely understand. Like, every just because something is on YouTube doesn't mean everybody's going to go look at it. But if you present something the moment someone logs into Netflix to watch whatever they're going to watch, and they hear about it or know about GTA and it's front and center on their Netflix, a lot of them are going to click on it. A lot of them are going to be
So
interested
true.
and want to see it.
So, so true story. This is legit happened. I opened up my PlayStation app and get what came on literally the very first page. Not even that, they created a page for it on its own. GTA 6 flyer.
Yeah,
Like, I literally had to close it because it's not something that you can just scroll past it. You need to close it. That's how much they care about the marketing. So I'm not I'm not surprised with this one. Not gonna lie, I think, and it's just me, a game like this should have been debuted on a game show and not on Netflix, but that's just me. But I understand your point and their point, and I'm pretty sure what's his name, Jeff Keighley is literally raging because he couldn't have it. I have that one.
yeah. I mean, some people are saying they're basically in conflict because it's going to happen the same weeks as Gamescom or whatever. But I was like, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, they have historically always done their own thing. So this isn't really a surprise. And then anyone concerned, uh, anyone concerned about, someone else doing it, no one else has that type of pull. Let's be clear. Like, the only other person who potentially could do it, and they'd have no interest in doing it because they're too tied up in live streamers, is Call of Duty. So they're too tied up with live streamers showing their stuff and whatnot and what have you. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah,
Not gonna lie, I was surprised that PlayStation didn't get this one, especially with them having max title and marketing right and stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, again, they see it as a W. It's a win for them anyway. More advertising, more people exposed to it, and most people are going to play it on their platform anyway. So I mean, I don't see why not. Um, but yeah, like I said, this doesn't bother me at all. Nor do I think it's going to be a situation where other companies are going to attempt it, because like I said, no one else has really got that pull in the first place. Um, they'd be a fool to even try it. Um, but yeah, Weeb, you have any issue with the controversy for GTA 6?
None whatsoever.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think this is people making a mountain out of a molehill. Uh,
It's
Yep.
not a burger, yeah.
yeah, like it's not that serious to me. Like I said, one company doing it is not going to change the world. Like it's not that serious to me. And like we said, like there's a it's gonna appear on other things anyway. Um, now that we confirm that as well.
Yep.
But yeah, the next thing here. So obviously this was a thing that came out the week prior. Square Enix stating it would take them years to develop remakes for other titles, as they are massive and would need to be released in 4 to 5 installments. Now, clearly, for me, this displays a clear disconnect between the fans and what fans want from Square, and them understanding, like, everybody doesn't in fact want these completely redone um, titles where they take all these liberties, change the story, and do all these other titles, right? All these other things that they do, the way that they've done Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've stated on several occasions, anything that they would make or update for today, I wouldn't want changed at all, because that is not the experience um, that I want people to get when they play some of my favorite titles. Primarily what they would have left in my case: Final Fantasy VIII, Xenogears, and Parasite Eve. None of those need to be changed at all in the slightest. If you're going to bring those titles back, you need to bring those back purely as they were in their gameplay, in their camera angles, the whole 9 yards, because that is what makes those titles what they are. Update them visually, make sure they're playable on current day systems. Per example, like I said, I've said previously, the Suikoden 2 remake is perfect example. It's clear, it's HD, it's up-resed. They completely redid character art and things of that nature while they're talking. Um, they basically literally just updated everything about the game, but left everything intact, so you still get the exact experience um, that I was able to get during the PlayStation 1 generation. Um, but honestly, I think this is the bigger issue with Square as a whole, understanding, showing the understanding about what their directors and producers believe that we want versus what people are actually wanting from Square. At least outside of Team Asano, who was doing a great job, who is bringing games like Final Fantasy Resonance, which we're all looking forward to. Um, and
I think everyone here is getting a resonance.
yeah, we're all going to be playing Resonance. Uh, so yeah, that's a full stop for me. And I actually played Brave Exvius as well. And again, like I told you guys, one of the main things I said about Brave Exvius when I played it is that I felt like if they would remove all the mobile trappings, that it would make an incredible single player Final Fantasy. And now that's exactly what we're getting with Resonance. And we're only getting, I think, the first arc, and they're remaking it completely from the ground up. That is what we're
What?
that
How
is
many
what we
arcs
want.
are there?
I don't remember, but it's only the first arc. Um, but yeah, I mean the game was going for years, so from what I remember, I think there's at least six. So
Damn, so this is a franchise by itself. It could be then.
yeah, I mean if it sells the way they want, based on the investment they put in, yeah, I mean it could definitely be another thing. It's still not the answer though, which this is the thing I always gotta clarify, because you got a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, cool. Then people who want turn-based Final Fantasy could be satisfied with this, and it's like no, Final Fantasy was still the premier turn-based AAA title. So the numbered Final Fantasy, I still want them to create an incredible turn-based franchise, which, like I said, has been proven can be done and can be created um, in current day. It just took another team to show them, like I said, with Expedition 33, showing them what's possible. I think, for a while there, Square's biggest issue, which has been stated by, their team and several of their directors, that they thought that, kids today, as they say it, don't want to play those titles. Yet we see an increase from everybody else's titles, the Persona series, um, and whatnot, and then of course the popularity of Expedition, showcasing if you make a good game, people will play it. Period. Which you know, both those titles, the Persona series and Expedition exceeded Square's sales for both Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 remake and rebirth. So again, clearly, if you still want to sell, you can still create a title that will sell and exceed that without the need to create something being action, and what have you. Um, but yeah, uh, Omar, I know this was one we've talked about at length here. Hearing the information and the feedback from them and what they think, it would take. Is that something that you particularly want to see from them if they were to remake those titles, or what would you want to see from Square Enix?
So, do I want a remake of Final Fantasy X? Yes. Do I want a remake of Final Fantasy 7? I mean 6? 6? Yes. Um, 9 as well. But my issue with all of that is nobody is asking for you to make it the way 7 remake is. Be- because legit 7 remake is way too bloated. Combat is phenomenal, but with the amount of mini games it had and the time waster, it it felt like I was time in Mario Party because of the amount of mini games and like everything you do is a checklist. The only weird thing about it is the combat. Rebirth Rebirth story was trash. I meant remake, and then the second one I forgot what. Yeah, Rebirth. Rebirth story was
Rebirth.
trash. Yeah. I'm interested in Revelation just for the gameplay. I don't care about the story with Revelation because everything. I will not spoil it, but yeah. Um. With that being said, I want the remake, but I want them to be faithful. Just put it in a different jacket. You don't need to add new things. And I can't remember a single Final Fantasy between the ones I mentioned that had a bad ending or had unfinished business. We just want them in new jacket. That's it. So I like this is why I don't understand how is there is so much disconnect between us the gamers and Square Enix. Y- y- I yeah. Last we heard that Final Fantasy IX remake is on ice, so it might never see the day of uh, light of day ever again. So I'm like, okay. So your main Final Fantasy is trash between 16 and 15 and 13. The the last good one was 12, which I fuck with. Um, your the games that your side Final Fantasy, I think it didn't do well. The last one that they did was um that Souls game, Final Fantasy. I meant Viper played it. Uh, you can put the name in chat. Um, and now they're creating Renaissance, which we're all excited about. Which make me question what they're gonna do with 17. But yeah, no. They are absolutely out of touch with this one, and I don't understand for the life of me why can't you just put it in a different uh, jacket and upgrade the resolution, add new skill, but that's it. You don't need to add new story. You don't need to add new side quest. Everything is as it is. Like, yeah, Stranger of Paradise. Thank you, Innate. Or Strangers in Paradise. Either one of them. That's literally the last one that they made. They made a few other ones, the Final Fantasy Mini, where you stack monsters on top of each other,
World of Final
which is a
Fantasy.
cool. Sorry?
World of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, yeah, which is a cool game. Not gonna lie. So they have been branching out. Oh yeah, they made also that musical one, which I didn't fuck with, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that was weird.
yeah. So they have like they are trying. I'm not gonna say that they're not trying. They are trying. It's just again, how are you so out of touch? And look at the phenomenon that I'm watching right now. Speaking of the devil, Final Fantasy Resonant, it can't come quick. And I just found out from you that this is literally the first arc.
Yep.
Like, how, like, nah, this is too much in a good way. This is absolutely too much, and I truly believe they have a new IP on, not a new IP, but like a returning IP that they can work on their hand.
Yeah, I mean
That's something they.
there's like over like there's only gonna be like 20 something of the spirits or whatever in this game, and they have in Brave Exvius they had like probably 150 different characters or more from the
Oh,
Final Fantasy universe. So
please.
they have literally years of content they could put out
Well, the
with
only way
this.
that they can do that is by making it unlike Pokemon, where every new installment you get 20 or 30 new spirits, and you don't go back to the old one.
I mean, they could, but I mean, they could also just add them. So, you get the same ones you had, plus in if they do a sequel to this, Resonance 2 or whatever they're going to call it, they could just add on, another 30 something and then give you even more tactical capabilities and increase the
I
complexity.
think that would be way too much to to work with because every single character you need to give it skills and stuff like that.
There's ways around that too. I mean, there's plenty of titles that let everybody in your team level all at once, whether they're in the party or not. Like there's ways to get around it. I'm not opposed to more choice. I've handled plenty of titles with a lot of choice, so it really just depends on what they want to do.
I thought this was a one and done. This
I mean, it could be if they don't do anymore,
I
but
don't.
they
I
have
think
years of content to go if they want to create more of these titles with Brave Exvius.
I I think this one's gonna tell well, especially with how people were
I mean,
in love with
I'm just gonna laugh if it ends up outselling the other Final Fantasies because that would be hilarious.
16. Oh, it's absolutely gonna outsell 16. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I would laugh. Like I would just be I would love to be in the meeting when this title outsells 16. Like I would just love to be in that meeting and just laugh because I feel
I
like they would be so confused, like at
I
why that happened.
I wanted to be in the meeting where they created this game, because last we found out what Yoshi P talking about how either him or someone else how was it or something like that, which is why they went the action route. So yeah, no, this is gold mine for Square Enix. Between this and the rumored Octopath 3 that been working on, they have uh, an amazing thing on their hand. Now it's all about Final Fantasy 17. What they're gonna do? Do but yeah, no, with Out of Touch, how's Out of I'm curious if Activision 33 dev is gonna impact them when come to 17. If they're gonna go back to base. But yeah, no, when come to the remake, they really need to fix their brain because nobody asked for a bloated Final Fantasy. Nobody.
Yeah, absolutely
Like
not.
and again I can't stress it enough. Their combat is insane, phenomenal. They keep making it better. Apparently, with Revelation, you're gonna have each member is gonna have 4 jobs he or she can choose from. Let's go. Like see this type of stuff that I'm excited about.
Yeah, but figuring it
Not
out by the third game is not really a good thing either.
no, but in each game they're adding stuff to it. So and this was so we're gonna see what they're gonna do with 17. I I I have I like. Is it wrong to feel optimistic a little bit because they greenlit
No,
this?
I mean not for you. I mean I don't have any I don't have any optimism left for Square. So
I know, but they greenlit this.
yeah, I mean
Like
they
this is
did, but
magic on
and it's
my
great,
screen right now. They greenlit it.
but
Hey,
it has
Tara.
but it has no bearing on whether or not what they do with the mainline series. So I'll give them the W when they give it to me and they deliver something like Resonance, but yeah, until they give me something that I feel really lives up to the legacy and the awe-inspiring things that Final Fantasy used to give me, then I'll have that conversation once they deliver that product.
Then the conversation should be will they ever reach peak Final Fantasy then? Cause I um unless they reinvent the wheel, I don't think they can because normal Final Fantasy is not what it used to be. So it's gonna be interesting what they're gonna do with 17. But yeah, no remake. Give me like I would even. I'm gonna say something that I won't say.
I mean, I don't
I
really know
would.
because I'm basically done with remake. I didn't even beat Rebirth, so
I would. So you don't want a remake of 8?
If it like I said, if
If it's done correct,
if
I'm
they
saying,
screw it up like Final Fantasy VII remake, then don't touch it, because then I'm gonna burn the building down. That
yeah, I feel
yeah.
you. I feel you. They fucked remake
If
rebuild
it if
up.
it's not if it's not a faithful remake, then I don't want it. 100% full stop. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Like just they just gotta stop. Like don't remake it if you're not gonna do it right.
So I need to comment on this one. Viper, I fuck with you. You Final Fantasy 8, but 13 over 8? No, we're not doing that. 8 had at least what do you say that? Was at least interesting, unlike 13, where they give you that gravity manipulation and take it away literally as the very first uh, cutscene of the game. I will never forget that from Square Enix. I'm gonna rant. Let's move on. Wait, what's your thought?
Fuck Final Fantasy.
Y-
Um, it will be
Yeah,
FFF,
what they
right?
wanna do, the disconnect between
I mean,
us and them.
I've said. I mean, I've spoken about this before, and also on Twitter. Like, the height of conceit that they just think that, oh, we need 4 or 5 games, to remake six. And to be fair, yeah, I've reread the interview because some people say he didn't say that or whatever. Like, yeah, he technically didn't specify six. He just said like any of these games. Um, and some said like, oh, but he was talking about if they had to do it like seven. And like, no, no, no. Nowhere in the interview did he mention that specifically if he had to do it like seven. Yes, we assume that they're gonna do that. He meant I'm gonna do it as seven, but nobody is asking for that. And that's the entire problem I think with Square right now. Like they're sort of in the echo chamber. They have these silos. They have these divisions or units, whatever you want to call them, that are very specialized, and that's how Square gets away with working 10 years on a game. Like you know, remember Final Fantasy Versus? Um, that was supposed to have, and that's kind of on one hand, you'd say, okay, great that they stick to it and still release the game after 10 years. On the other hand, it's like, okay, but why aren't you having any expectations that you're going to make your money back? Because it's very clearly that if you wasted 10 years on a game, you doesn't matter how well you sell, it's never going to be enough, and that's kind of the problem. They have obviously, Final Fantasy is their, is their, crown jewel. It's what put them on the map. It's clear that they're have expectations, but I think they also need to learn that, at some point, an IP is gonna run its course, right? It's gonna you're not gonna be able to um, yeah, keep on riding on those past victories. Those fans, yes, those fans will be there, but the problem is you're not gonna get necessarily new fans into your series because tastes change. The new generation of gamers have very different ideas of how to enjoy gaming, and you're sort of trying to please everybody, and which results in pleasing none. That's the entire problem of 16, where you're making it so streamlined. I suppose that's the right word. That it's just it's not appealing to everybody. It was Game of Thrones with Final Fantasy sauce, and nobody really wanted. Like again, like I finished the game. I appreciate it for what it was, but it didn't really do anything, you know, that stood out, right? Like they tried, definitely tried. They tried sort of they had an epic scope in a sense, but in the same I've Forspoken. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like that game also looked like sort of were very ambitious about that, and they thought like, oh yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be our next big thing, and the game flopped because it really had it was sort of all style and no substance really, and it's not for lack of trying because it's not that they were lazy in a sense, but they were overindulgent. They were overconfident. They were over basically. That's kind of I guess their Achilles heel, I guess, where they're so used to being top. They have such a pedigree that they're like, yeah, uh, why isn't this working? That they come out and said like, yeah, we heard you, but the critique of Rebirth having too many mini games, but we're gonna add even more mini games in the next one. Like how how this is conceit. This is arrogance. This is like you're hearing the feedback you which is very reasonable, and you see that the numbers don't really are not really where you want them to be, and instead of addressing them you're just gonna you know double down on it, right? You're just gonna think, oh no, we know better. You're as a gamer, you're our customers, you're wrong. Like we're just gonna you just need to see the way. We're gonna show you the light, and next time you're gonna get it. Next time those sales are gonna be there. And look, to be fair, like I mean, obviously a lot of people will be interested in, I guess, seeing where it's gonna end. Though I have, after finishing Rebirth and seeing sort of how, I mean, I'm gonna spoil it, but how they ended, like I don't really have a lot of hopes that they're gonna do anything interesting. In it.
Exactly, right? Like they feel
Omar, I can hear you.
oh, how can no one hear me?
Well, fix your mic and then we'll
Can
talk.
you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I was saying, exactly. They set it up with a remake. With Rebirth, they fucked it up at the end. And now Revelation, we're gonna see how they're gonna do it. Because I have no faith with them,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's kind of the thing. The again, it's kind of hard trying to avoid spoilers, but in a sense, it does really feel like the ending really feels like the entire game you play. Like it feels like they stretch it so much, and they're padding it, and they're adding so much to it so that it's a complete like it is a massive game. Like, to be clear, I'm not saying it's not worth the money, as in you're getting your money's worth, but it's also a lot of bloat you're getting. It's high quality bloat. Like, they're literally introducing mechanics for mini games that they just use for that single mini game. Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Omar. But it's like, okay, but if I was a project manager of that game, I would say like, do we need to spend money on that? And to be clear, like I don't know. Sometimes we think a mechanic takes up a lot of time, and it's just something that a developer made in their spare time and doesn't really cost that much. So it's possible that was the case for that particular mini game, but the entire philosophy of this game seemed like adding as much stuff as possible to lengthen that journey, so that we don't end up completing the game, in the second part, which was a fair choice. Like, take God of War. They could have. I mean, okay, we're getting another God of War, but they could have stretched, the Kratos story in the Norse mythology saga to three parts, and it's like, yeah, but we just, we feel like ending it in Ragnarok because they're sort of that's how we that's sort of the natural course of the story, right? So we don't feel a need to make a third game and just pad it until we can sort of, I don't know, end in a cliffhanger and then have you come back for a third part. They could have done that, but they didn't. And I think that Square could have easily done that. I mean, even if they couldn't finish in, which also think is maybe debatable, but finish in the first game, they could have easily just said, "Oh, okay, it's 2 games, cool, right?" They didn't need to make it 3 games, but they forced it to be 3 games, and that's that's the reason why a lot of people like you and A like just called quits because it's not worth your time. I totally understand. Like I felt exhausted after I finished the game. I was like, okay, yeah, I finished it. I mean, I'm not saying I hated it. Like there's a lot to like, but also like it felt like a chore at some point. A high again,
Yeah,
high the highs of production values like that's kind of thing. It's like they're serving you caviar, even though probably I mean I have never I mean I think I've had but like cheap or whatever but like it's not like worth it. Like it's not like um it's not like the best thing you ever ate, but assuming it is, like even if they give you if they keep on feeding you, at some point, like, yeah, thank you, I've had enough, I'm full, like I don't need anything else. And that's kind of their problem, is that they think that people will just accept it and you know gorge on whatever they present them, no matter how long it is, because they're it's good. You've clearly went above and beyond with producing it, with making it look amazing and play amazing. Um, but you're not addressing the fundamental issue. Like you're just doubling down and compounding it. Like people complain about Chadley, and you're like, oh, we were complaining with Charlie, like, yeah, he's going to be more into this, and we're actually going to add a female version of Charlie. So just to because we know you don't really hate Charlie, you actually love it, but you're just not ready for it yet. So we're just gonna give you more and more.
Yeah, when they
Wait,
said that, I like to laugh so hard, bro. I was like, "What do you mean you're gonna give us more?"
yeah, it's again like that's sort of that what we said tone deaf. It's the yeah, it's arrogance in the way that you think you know better. And again, I'm not saying that obviously you shouldn't always listen to give gamers what they want, because gamers don't know what they want, and they have there's so many different opinions, and of course there are a lot of people who are acting in bad faith or don't know what they're talking about.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
in this case, like if you talk about fundamental, like it's one thing about talk about the story, but on the other hand, it's fun. Like if you see people not finishing your game, you have a problem. You realize that your game is too much work for people to finish. And if it starts feeling like work, it's no longer a game. It's not like people play games to to escape their daily grind, to relax, to okay, I'm done working, I want to play a game, I would just want to lose myself in it, which you can. But if the feeling is like, okay, I'm just just doing busy work, I'm just basically doing a job, it's a full-time job playing this game just to get to the the meat, to the ending. And again, like I said, like the ending, without trying to spoil it, does feel like, yeah, sort of like a waste of time, really. Like you're setting it up.
remake feels like a waste of time, don't it?
True, yeah, because they did not need to spend all that time in one location. And Rebirth feels like a waste of time because you kind of felt like up to the point, okay, so we're getting to a
We're
point
getting a
where it's
different
worth,
conclusion. Yeah, we never
yeah,
like this.
it's worth remaking this game, because you're gonna do something different, so that you're making so that you're justifying the fact that this version of the story exists, right? That you
That
felt
was
you need to change
literally,
things to an extent that it's like yeah, it's a reimagining, it's gonna be a different experience. But if you're just
but
gonna
they
end up
didn't
at the
even
same point,
commit to that. Their imagination.
sorry.
They had one job with their imagination. They created it and then destroyed it in the second half. I'm like, what's the point of your imagination then?
Well, that's kind of thing is kind of like you're you wanna yeah you're yeah you wanna have your cake and eat it too. Like you're basically saying you're saying okay yeah we I mean what if we could change things and then don't change like it's I mean I hate to bring Star Wars into it, but it's kind of like the problem with the Last Jedi. Like it's a good movie, and I see what Ryan Johnson was doing, trying to sort of subvert expectations, but he was also constrained by the fact that he couldn't really go all the way. So he was like showing us, "Hey, look at this! Like, oh, look at how the the Empire or the First or whatever, like, and the Resistance, the rebels, like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, the real power is with these, with the power brokers, with the weapon merchants." And then you show it, and you do nothing with it, and you're like and it's not just the problem with the Rise of Skywalker trying to basically retcon everything that was done in the Last Jedi because we're reacting to fan backlash, but in the movie itself, it didn't really do anything with sort of interesting things that they were proposing and trying to subvert. But then, yeah, but we're not really going to do it. We're just going to tell you, well, what if? But then just okay, but yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. Sort of like ask the question, but not giving you the answer, and that's kind of the problem that Final Fantasy, the rematch, remake, whatever, had at least Rebirth had is that it just and again, I don't know. Maybe they paid it off. Like there's ways you could do that, but I'm very skeptical that Square is gonna like. It does feel like they're just gonna, in the end, just end up where they are with the with the original game, and then just leave that sort of dangling as an interesting sort of what if things were different, but we're not gonna explore this in this interpretation of the story, and then you're like, okay, what did I bother with playing this game? Because in the end, like you could have just whatever, you could have remastered it. You could have just made it the same game but prettier. You could have maybe do the same style but just follow the story beat for beat. um, yeah, I don't know, like and I mean, I know I'm going on for a long time, but that's kind of thing is like with like six is an amazing game. Like it's probably my favorite Final Fantasy game. I mean, I haven't played them all. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm the usual Final Fantasy fan, um, but I don't think that game. I mean, sure, you could argue maybe if you gave it the treatment that you can split it up in two games or whatever, but like 4 or 5 games, and it applies to every Final Fantasy game. Like it doesn't need that treatment. Like we talked about the pixel remasters and Resonant. Like yeah, there are different ways to go about it, and yes, it would be very interesting to see if that. I mean, that game is going to be obviously more successful already because it's gonna benefit from the fact that from the success of Octopath Traveler, and it's gonna not gonna have the budget, of a yeah supposedly AAA Final Fantasy game. But like what I was alluding to in the beginning is like Final Fantasy doesn't. The problem is that it doesn't really have an identity right now because they try to remake it as like I said, trying to appease to everybody and not in the end
Exactly.
you end up not appeasing anybody because new gamers are not interested in it, it doesn't really stand out, and the people and the fans are like, what the hell is this? Like, this is not my Final Fantasy. And that's kind of inherently the problem with Final Fantasy itself, but that's a choice, that it's basically every Final Fantasy reinvents itself because there are very few Final Fantasy games that sort of are related to each other in a way that it gives, of course, a freedom that if you just say, okay, next one takes place in a different world, that's nothing to do with the previous game, frees us from having to deal with with the characters, the setting, whatever. And especially with the earlier games being very simple, I can relatively, I can imagine that you're like, okay, we don't want to really build an entire IP, an entire franchise, on the fact that we have to make sure it stays in line with everything that happened before. I get that, but also, you run the risk that every time you try to reinvent, you try to be different, and yeah, you're gonna end up you're gonna run out of ideas. You're gonna feel derivative. You're gonna feel, yeah, a cheap knockoff of whatever people loved in the original games or original game, whatever game they loved. You can also have people have a favorite, which is fine. You'll have that with every franchise, but if every game has, if you don't really like Final Fantasy has sort of core, memes, themes, whatever you want to call them, that correspond, that sort of connect, sort of is a fabric of the series, but is also like it doesn't because you reinvent the game, and especially with Square's obsession of seemingly trying to reinvent the combat system every game instead of just sticking with what works, right? I mean, and there's nothing wrong with like improving the combat system, what they did with Final Fantasy Rebirth versus remake. But like, yeah, you also end up then with games like 16, where it's like, okay, what's Final Fantasy about? What's where is the Final Fantasy that you loved? And that's the yeah, that's inherent risk of having an IP where you just you can pretty much do anything you want with it, but that also means you don't have a strong identity. I mean, it sure, Nintendo can do the same with Mario, but Mario doesn't have like an amazing story, amazing characters that you're invested in. Like, you don't care if, like, nobody's asking, okay, why doesn't Mario not have the ability to turn into an elephant? Doesn't matter. It's Mario, right? But it does matter for Final Fantasy because each of these games have epic stories
A
and beloved
structure also.
characters. Sorry,
A structure.
yeah, structure. So it is, um, in that sense, yeah. The final this like, I'm not saying throw Final Fantasy away. I mean, resonance is resonant. What's, by the way, with this year's games always having resonance in the title?
Yeah,
Like, I
there's a
think we
lot
have
of
like,
that.
I don't know. Is there something happening that we don't know about? But anyway,
Yeah, the developers are tired of people bullshit.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the way you want to interpret that, but sure.
That's how I want to interfere because we're all tired with the company's bullshit.
Yeah, I know. But it is like that. That's kind of the, yeah. Again, the interesting thing is like, yeah, maybe you need to take a step back. I mean, I know Square Enix is never going to stop at Final Fantasy. They're going to say, hey, we're just going to put it in the fridge and not make it a Final Fantasy game anymore, because it's, again, like, they're yeah, it's kind of like asking Nintendo to put Mario in the fridge. They're never going to do it.
Yeah,
Um, but they do have to take a step back and sort of reconsider what do we want to do with this. And yeah, it's very tempting, of course, to make a lot of remakes now these days. Which, of course, that's maybe the very interesting part of that interview. Is like, he didn't want to. The fact we're sort of hung up on the fact that he said like it's going to take 4 or 5 games, but he actually sort of expressed like, I don't really want to do that, because yeah, you kind of want to do new things. You don't want to just revisit the glories of the past. But yes, that's kind of also the way the industry right now well moving, but it's happened for a long time. Of course, making a remake is a safe bet. You don't have to. I mean, it's still gonna cost money, and it still takes a lot of work, but you don't have to start from scratch. You have you have a basis, where you can start with, and you have a built-in fan base, which may not be enough if you're trying to if your investment is not corresponding to the returns that you're expecting. Um, that's kind of Square's problem. I mean, yes, it obviously, if you can sell a remake of a game in three parts and have people basically pay three times for the game, that's okay, cool. That's definitely, if you want to look at it that way, certainly a sound financial decision. But in the end, you're making three games, with each having their separate budgets, with each costing a lot of money to make, and each of these games, in the end, sort of has to be accounted for individually. So it's not like you can just say, overall, we were successful because we managed to fool people into buying our game three times, but you also developed the game three times. So you had three times the development cost. So it doesn't really compute
Exactly.
in that sense that it that's kind of, I mean, you can, again, like, Final Fantasy is probably the most, seven is probably the most popular, considering everything they've built around it, with all the spin-offs and the animated and TG features they made. So it certainly is one where you could do this with, but if they try to do this with another one, yeah, they're gonna absolutely, gonna feel that financially, because people are waiting for every single Final Fantasy game to be remade with three, or as they say, four or five games. Like, it's it's crazy that they don't see that they're like, you can just, you know go back to your, the modesty you had in the past. I'm not sure if Square ever had modesty, but I'm just saying, like, understand your roots, understand the mentality that people had when they made the game. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I mean, you can certainly add things. You can certainly also cut things that you're like, this doesn't really work in this interpretation that we have of the story. But you don't have to, you know, make it bloated, the way you're doing right now with Final Fantasy VII, because yeah, you're gonna lose people. You're the diehard fans are probably gonna swallow it up and buy it, but you're not gonna get new fans. You're not gonna get, and even people who are interested in your franchise are gonna, like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I've played the original game, I love that. I don't have the time, to spend hundreds of hours in just one third of the story, a third of the game, and that's, that's their
Yeah.
hubris. That's the problem they're facing. That's something they have to overcome, because if they want to go back, well, I'm not sure we'll go back to glory days. But the thing is, like, you can certainly, yeah, I'll say, like, you can certainly take a step back there and say, okay, not every uh, remake, or basically every Final Fantasy game, needs to have that seven treatment, and not, and if you're gonna make another Final Fantasy, which of course you're gonna make, like, a new version of 17, whatever you're gonna call it, think about why, which I'm very skeptical about, that they have that ability to be introspective and reflect on their past mistakes. But if they want to succeed, understand why you didn't get the success that you hoped for with 16. Like, and
Exactly.
maybe indeed be like, you don't, like again, like, you mentioned Expedition 33. It's a perfect example of a game with a much more modest scope, that's delivered on every aspect of it. Like, it was amazing. People loved it. It was massively successful, critically and commercially, and had an appropriate investment in there. And
And they did it
yes,
without
it is
depending
difficult.
on a franchise name.
Yeah.
completely new
Exactly.
IP.
So and I mean, yes, I understand that Square has sort of this pride in their IP. Like we can't make a mainline Final Fantasy game with an AA budget. Um, but maybe you need to stay like take that example of an Expedition 33 and like, okay, yeah, you can make a Final Fantasy game in that way, going back turn based, which doesn't necessarily like this is sort of again also the argument, you know, art style or art direction, trumps graphics. Like and not to say that Expedition doesn't look great, but like they won a lot with their art direction with amazing level
It was
design.
for the most part linear, outside of the open world when you go into open worlds, like, and it was not a busy work. Heck, I was so fucking enjoying the mini games. You can't make this shit up. I went out of my way to play the mini games, even the one where you need to climb the tower all the way to the top. It was atrocious, but it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the but also doesn't overstay its welcome. Like there were these mini games were challenging, annoying, but it's not like you weren't beaten around the bush with around every corner, right? And you weren't really taken out of like you just stumble upon them, while exploring. Like nowhere in the game they said, hey, you have to go there and do this annoying climbing mini game, otherwise you can't proceed with the story. And I mean it's been a while, so I don't know if there was ever. I mean, yeah, there were some mini games I think you had to do as part of the story, and then of course you had the option to do the next stage or whatever. You didn't have to complete them all if you didn't want to, but still, like it sort of is sort of shoved in your face. Like, I mean, you can't avoid Charlie. There is no way in the game, anywhere in the game where you can just turn a right corner and just walk past Charlie and never meet him in the main game. Like that's not an option. Um, so they are kind of like, and I get it as that you have some sort of pride and say, yeah, we made this for you, so we do want you to see it and do want you to experience it and at least try it once, because we spent a lot of effort into this, and we don't want you to just walk past it and never do anything with. But that's kind of the thing is like there's plenty of games where developers spend a lot of effort into making a mini game or use a gameplay mechanic, and gamers just ignored it and didn't use it, and that's fine. You've put it in there. You can still take pride in it. If people choose to ignore it, that's their prerogative. But people don't like to have themselves feel like they're forced to do something they don't want to do, feel like their
Agreed.
time is not being respected, and that's kind of what Square is right now. Like they're not really moving with you know reality. And it's not just the taste, like it's not just the Zoomers who, no offense, Nate, but play Fortnite all day. I know you play, but obviously you also play other games. But there are, of course, entire generations of people who just play a single game or not really game the way that we game, and that's just a fact you have to deal with. But the other hand, like the people who stuck with you, the fans, us, the hardcore gamers, like yeah, we also have our lives change. Like we have more disposable income in the way that we don't no longer have to ask our parents to buy a game for a birthday or whatever. But we now have the other responsibilities. We have work, we have life. Um, our time is limited. That's our constraint. That's the thing that is determinant in how many games and how many time we spend in the game. I mean, we don't have a limited time, and you don't want to feel like your time is wasted. So you do want to enjoy, have
Yeah,
an
they
enjoyable
definitely got to
experience.
work
But
on respecting our time. when it comes
Yeah,
to designing these games. And that's something I
exactly.
definitely feel like they haven't learned, especially if Rebirth
Yep,
says anything about it.
No,
absolutely.
but it's not just that. It's not even fun. You're going to activate a crystal. You need to activate six crystal to fight a hidden boss. Like, instead of six crystal, make it one crystal or just put a hidden boss in it. And people are gonna hear me saying, yeah, you got complaining, it's just six crystal. No, it's six crystal each biome. I think it was 10. I forgot the amount
I
of crystals you need to gather. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, we're giving you a lot of shit because you complain a lot, Omar. But for this game, you're absolutely right. Like there is just it's over engineered, it's over indulgence. It's just they're it's like they want to show off, but they're not considering the fact that gamers don't have a limited time. That gamers don't want to have the feeling that their time is wasted. That that you're just like people. We picked this up. Like if we said, yeah, you're showing off. I mean, yeah, sure, you can use that in a positive sense, like oh, you're showing something amazing. But like if you're just you're oh, I mean, to be fair, like Kojima has the same problem with Death Stranding. Like they kind of fixed that in the second one, but the first one also had a problem with a lot of so the word it was over. I mean, I do agree with the criticism that it was over animated. I enjoyed the game overall, and yes, you can press a button, skip all animations, but it's still like true. Yeah, it is kind of like Kojima showing off here, like, but you didn't kind of think it through that if you're making a game where you're basically just doing the same thing over and over again, because and it's again it's an amazing game and it's very therapeutic that you just an entire UPS simulator, whatever you want to call it, but in the end, like yeah, it also if you're constantly repeating the same cutscenes every time I deliver a package and I have to like press a button to skip them. True, it is true that you're not respecting the gamer's time, that you just want to show off, look at this nice animation that I've made for something that's essentially a very mundane task, and you're not really putting yourself in the shoes of the gamer like cool, but I want to skip this. I don't want to see this because I've already seen this. Like it's
Yeah,
cool
giving
the
you an
first time
option to
around.
permanently implement the skip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the fact that they gave you the fucking ability to auto loot items when on your chocobo only after you beat the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's a huge
also
oversight.
yeah.
I I'm like you. I literally mentioned it before even beating the game. I'm like, why can't I pick up items when I'm a chocobo? Why am I like? I'm literally stopping every 6 seconds just to pick up items.
But that's a big disconnect that we're talking about when we talk about all these disconnects they seem to have between respecting the gamer's time versus designing something. Like part of game design is also respecting the gamer's time and designing quality of life things that make sense,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
to
like
appropriately assist the gamer to
alright then.
complete the game. If you make it
One of the
frustrating, people won't want to complete it.
one of the best thing about Forbidden West, and people gonna disagree, you disagree, is they killed the what you call it, um I forgot what called they basically killed you when you pick up an item. There is no animation. They killed the animation. It's just in your inventory. There is no need to bend over and pick up something or cut something. You just it's literally you press button. It's in your inventory. That's how it should be. That like that's one of the best thing Horizon Forbidden West did when they implemented that. and I just don't understand why other companies can't look at stuff like this, quality of life controls, and implement them. I like at some point you gotta ask yourself, are the devs truly gamers? And is there no one from the what you call it, the people that are testing the games that are like, okay, so I'm on a chocobo and I'm picking and I can pick stuff up. Developers, why is that a thing? W- I don't understand because literally the testers, I don't think they have a lot of time to test their game.
Well, you got to remember there's other focuses while you're testing versus just playing the game as well. So there might be other things or bugs or other feedback that they're prioritizing. I mean, obviously it should be seems obvious to us who are playing the final product, but we're playing it, for fun and playing in
No,
a
the
particular way. So it should you would think it would be obvious, but depending on what is being tested and how they're having them submit the test or, what have you is going on in the actual environment where they're testing the game, it just may not be something that came up or may not be something that the developers wanted to implement. Because, like we
I
said, a lot of what's happening in Final Fantasy, including, Rebirth, was they extended a bunch of tasks or, constantly, like I said, the stuff with Chadley, like everything was very long form and not irrespective of your time. Like they just didn't care. So that's what I said. I think it's just also just how they're designing
I
their games.
if if they put that item at a secret boss that you fight at the end of chapter 2, I would have been okay with it. But the fact that they put it literally after you beat the game, it's almost like a fuck you to the gamers.
Well,
And that's how I
that's another thing we've talked about though, is especially JRPG designers, they have an infatuation for some reason with putting things at the end of the game or beating the game in things that should have been implemented earlier on in the game or during your first playthrough. That's another
extra
big design
XP,
issue.
XW, XP, MP, W money, they always put that shit literally close to the end or after the end. So
Exactly.
yeah, um, but with this one, it's harder because we mention it. This is a 100-hour game. Because you can't beat the final boss at just 50 hours. I'll let you play on easy. But yeah, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, it is what it is. We'll see what happens as they go forward and if they actually make some of these concessions after they've had an opportunity to meet with teams like the Expedition 33 team and some of the other teams and see if they've actually had any influence on them and what have you. But yeah, for the next one, we'll save that other topic for another time because, like I said, it's kind of universal, so we can literally it's not a time constraint on that one. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Thank you again for everybody who came through. Again, appreciate the interactivity in the chat and everybody's participation. We're gonna go ahead and head out. But yeah, where can the people find you, sir?
Yeah, great show as usual. Yeah, I know we ramble a lot about our
We're
intros and
gamers. We're allowed to ramble.
exactly
Fuck you.
these topics. Yeah, no, but it's fine because we care. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as the Weep Sheriff at Infinite Rhizome, where I continue sharing my physical purchases because I will keep on buying physical until yeah it's no longer possible, or I'll buy them on Switch, I guess, if they're available there and in a playable state. Uh, Other than that, I'll move, as I said, I'll move my business to PC, which again has one advantage when we talk about quality of life things is it has mods. So you even if the developers don't think about it, you can still mod it in and have potentially a more enjoyable experience.
Which I do
Just saying, I'm
frequently.
not. Yeah. I mean, I totally get you, Nate. It is definitely, you know, why should you play the game as intended when it has a very obvious flaws in terms of quality of life when you
Yep.
can just download the mod for it. Yeah, I mean, what again? Respect the gamer's time. But without further ado, automation.
Otter Nation. Omar, where can the people find you, sir?
So shout out to everyone that came through. Hit that like button to stream out. Shout out to Morgan for participating. Also Viper. You can find me Caravan Good Job on Twitter. Uh, yeah, play your game, beat your game. Lot of games out there to play. People talking about how it's dry. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Onslaught is coming.
Indeed. And with that, I'm your host, Innate, or known as the Real Innate on Twitter and Blue Sky. And with that, we're up out of here. Otter Nation.
Automation.
Monthly donation it is.